Check one, check. Looks like we have sound. So that's half the battle. JB.
Sound is good. We have
Sound.
we have coffee and sound.
We have coffee and we have sound. Got anything for today?
I don't have a lot, man.
Oh, me neither.
I come prepared normally for.
I know you do.
I have segues all over the place, and there's like no segues,
Nothing today.
no fact checking.
It's been a slow week. I don't know.
I don't know, man.
Well, we should just
get going.
Get going and see what happens.
Yeah.
All right.
Warning, this podcast will be an injurious waste of your time. Warning, this podcast will be an injurious waste of your time.
Yeah, good morning. I'll take a medium with 2 sugar and a medium regular, please.
Morning, JB.
Morning, DDT.
How are you?
Very good, yourself?
Good, thanks. Thanks for the coffee.
I did. I know.
Yeah.
Well, hey, you showed up late. Or maybe I showed up early.
Yeah, like this morning you text me, I'm on my way. And that was like 9:30. 9:37,
I'm in line for
you're
coffee.
in line for coffee. And you live much further away.
I got really lucky, which is something that never happens when you're driving in Ottawa for some reason. The powers that be appear to have the lights on some kind of schedule that if you make one green light, there's kind of a mandatory red light for 3-4 intersections afterwards. But today, coming from Stittsville all the way to Bell's Corners in Ottawa, I believe that I don't think I hit one red light.
Wow, that's amazing. That
Yeah.
really is. Because I know everywhere I go, I hit the red lights all the time.
Yeah.
It's frustrating. That's like a pet peeve. Like you said, you get one green and then the next one would be red. And then that'll turn green and you get the next one that's red.
Oh, it's
And
just,
I don't know why Ottawa does that.
It's unbelievable. At
Yeah.
one point, I counted to be able to go. So the other night we can talk about that after. But the other night we went to. I took the kids to see the new Doctor Strange movie, and from my house, which I would say is about maybe 3 kilometers. So from our house to where the movie theaters are in Canada.
Yeah.
I think I counted that there were 11 lights.
Oh. Wow.
And very frequently I will miss like 5 or 6 of those. It's just unbelievable, like the amount of stops and lights and stuff like that. Like, I don't know how you feel about traffic circles.
You know what? I actually, here in Canada, I like traffic circles.
Yeah.
Have you ever done the traffic circle in Paris? The big one at the, what's that one called? Is it the Champs-Élysées?
The Champs-Élysées, yeah.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I have not done that one well.
Oh my God.
Well, it's like we typically talk about retro movies, and there's that scene in what is it, National Lampoon's European
they
Vacation,
keep going around
where he can't get
Can't
out,
get out.
he can't get out of the circle. Look, kids, Big Ben. Look, kids, Big Ben. So
that was me.
I've been to Champs-Élysées, and I just like you have this tunnel underneath the road to get to the, I forget actually what the name of that monument is, that arch. But yeah, like the traffic
Arc de
around.
Triomphe?
Yeah, that's it. Arc de Triomphe. So that the amount of traffic around that circle is just mind-boggling.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I was that movie because I was just going around and I don't know how many people honked at me.
Oh, you drove there?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
I've
gosh,
driven in Paris
wow.
a few times and the last time I was there driving, I had to go around that traffic circle and like I said, I almost couldn't get out of it. And then I had everybody like just giving me the horn.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for
Like,
sure.
come on, and you can't identify that you're a tourist in any way or whatever. I was actually there working, but you can't identify that you're not from there because it doesn't say it's a rental vehicle.
No.
It's got, Parisian plates on or whatever it is. Like, it's just like people think you're a moron basically when you, and I don't know, it's like 6 or 7 lanes.
Yeah.
Something
it's
like that.
brutal.
It's huge.
It's brutal.
Compared to the traffic circles here, which might be 2 lanes.
But at least.
But a lot of people still don't understand how to do a traffic circle here.
Oh,
I
it's bad. Yeah.
Before I get onto that story, I guess I should apologize to our good listeners
For traffic circles.
for traffic circles and for this next 40 minutes. Maybe I should put in the warning now.
Yeah, we
Would it be
apologize
an
for not being prepared.
Yeah, it'd be an injurious waste of time, so I'll put in the warning right now.
Yeah, good idea.
Warning, the next part of the podcast is a major injurious waste of your time. Warning, the next part of the podcast is a major injurious waste of your time.
And Duff's not here again.
Duff is not here again.
Yeah.
This weekend's we'll call it an excuse or a reason, or he's out canoeing, I believe, with some kids.
Well, he's doing canoeing lessons.
I think he's doing canoeing lessons,
Yeah.
which is hey, it's a fantastic weekend for it.
Oh,
It's a
it's
little,
beautiful.
little chilly this
Oh, yeah.
morning, 9 degrees.
Little
But
cool
but
wind.
having said that, just beautiful sunny day. I don't think there's a cloud in the sky.
No, it's nice.
So perfect day for being stuck up a creek without a paddle. But
Nice
I'm assuming maybe
he probably does.
he
have
probably
paddle.
has a whole
Hopefully.
bunch of paddles.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully, yeah.
But having said that, we wish him a good time and nice weather.
Well,
and not too crazy
I
rapids.
don't wish him look at
No, all right,
No,
that's
yeah.
fine.
Yeah. So getting back to my traffic circle
Yeah.
story. Now that we got all the apologies and stuff out of the way, so it's a 2-laner traffic circle, and on the 2-lane you can either keep going straight or go around to the next exit or whatever. So I'm in the left lane and I'm going to go straight. There's a guy beside me in the right lane who all of a sudden decides that he wants to go left with me right beside him.
yeah.
And so he's trying to cut over, and I see him out of the side of the peripheral vision, and I move over, and I like, what the? And then I look at him. He gives me the finger. It's like, why are you giving me the finger?
Yeah, exactly.
You're the guy cutting into me when you're supposed to be like the right lane. You cannot go left. Right lane, go straight.
It should be smooth, right? Like you
I
have.
think.
It's like a stop sign. You have 4 people that show up at a stop sign. It's like
Supposed to be the person on the right.
yeah, but again, it's just it almost seems like it's the person that has the heaviest foot or the
Most impatient.
or is the most impatient or the most sort of self-confident while driving.
Exactly.
Which to a certain extent, if we go back to like the Paris or the England or any of those major cities, we were talking about the fact that my wife and I went to New York a few weeks ago as well.
Yeah,
New York
yeah.
City. I mean, it's almost like it's Drive to Survive. It's like you have to like, I'm gonna cut in here because otherwise I will, there's a good chance that I'll die in this circle.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah.
So it's
Toronto was, so I was in Toronto a couple of weeks ago as well, or a month ago now, but it's the same. It's almost it's the same there.
yeah.
Drive to Survive. Like, no wonder there's so like they've got a show on TV, Heavy Rescue 401, where they can show all these accidents because people are absolutely crazy.
Oh, it's bananas. Yeah.
It's like anarchy on the 401.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, no wonder there's accidents. Like,
Well,
they just
it's
throw all
just-
caution to the wind and they do whatever.
We actually went up the 401 just this past weekend. We went back to the U.S. Went to Syracuse with the kids to do
Yeah.
a little bit of shopping and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And
Nice.
and it's first of all, the amount of transports
Mm.
on the 401 is just mind-boggling.
Yeah.
And God love the people that bring our food and everything else that we need all over the country. Like I could not be a truck driver,
Oh,
but having said that,
yeah.
man, oh man, some of them on the roads are they're a little aggressive, in passing each other and so on and so forth.
I hate when a transport tries to pass another transport. it takes them forever, and then they reach a hill, and then they can't get up the hill.
Yeah,
because it takes them forever.
it's terrifying, right? Like it's. I mean,
then
we
they got a lineup of cars behind them.
we were talking about our kids driving before the podcast, and it's
Yeah.
like, talking about white knuckle driving, like
Oh, that's white knuckle.
passing a transport while following a transport that's passing another transport
Yeah.
with the transport behind you.
Oh yeah.
That's kind of the
Yeah.
excitement and the
In a snowstorm.
the adrenaline rush of driving on the 401.
Yeah.
And then you get to Toronto, and just the amount of traffic is just insurmountable.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
I can't imagine, like working and living in Ottawa, like just commuting from West Ottawa downtown is and can be a challenge. But I can't imagine having to work sort of, we'll call it downtown Toronto, and living in the outskirts and
Oh,
having to do that commute every day.
Yeah. No, thank you.
No, so it would be interesting.
You know what amazes me too? It's like I just mentioned it, in a snowstorm. Like those transports do not slow down.
They don't snow down either.
They don't snow down in a
No.
slow storm.
No, they don't. They don't.
They don't snow down in a slow storm.
No.
And you're doing 80 because it's almost whiteout conditions, and some truck passes you doing 100 still, or 95, 100,
And then the storm of
Yeah.
snow that's following behind
makes it
them.
even worse. No wonder there's massive accidents.
Yeah, you're actually completely blind. Well, how many times have you seen on the 401 the accident where you have like 60 cars following
Yeah.
each other? One happens to have a mishap and crash, and
Yeah.
then you have 40 of those 50 cars
Yeah,
like slamming into them.
Yeah.
Like, it's just horrible.
I know.
Nobody
Everybody nobody drives for the road conditions
No,
anymore.
no, you're just going
think
full speed anyway.
Yeah, they think they can. I'm in my pickup 4x4 or my SUV all-wheel drive, and the one thing that doesn't help you is braking.
Yeah,
A
absolutely.
four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive does nothing
No.
when you need to brake.
And that's like, there's not a lot of defensive driving going on.
No.
And I mean, it's we were talking about our kids learning how to drive and stuff, and I went with my daughter last night, and I'm one of the big lessons for me is just, you're fine, you're in your vehicle, you're staying in your lane, you're being smart, you're being you're being cautious, but you need to be aware of what's going on around you at all times.
Yeah.
And you need to sort of have some semblance of awareness of, if the guy in front of me decides to brake, how far is the car behind me? If I need to pull into the left lane because, I need to avoid somebody coming in, do I have that space? It's
Yeah.
just that awareness of what's going on around you that I don't know that they teach that, and I don't know that
Yeah.
a lot of the kids have that right now. And I mean, yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't know. I don't know if a lot of drivers have that awareness these days, and I'm not sure why that is. I've got some. Talking about pet peeves for driving. If you want to get into that a little bit, the person, like an on-ramp to the highway, for example, is, if you read the definition of what you're supposed to do on an on-ramp, you're supposed to speed up to the velocity of the traffic and then merge when
Yeah.
it's safe to do so. How many times do you get behind people that do like 50 or 60 on the on-ramp
Yeah,
and then try to move over?
yeah, and then within a 10-foot span, then you're like, well, I'll pass this person as soon as they get out of the way.
Yeah.
But then they go from 50 to 120, and then they end up passing everyone else, and I'm like, well, why didn't you just smoothly accelerate up the on-ramp
Yeah.
to match the speed of traffic, to be able to merge gracefully into
Exactly.
traffic?
Yeah. Because
Instead
when they
of,
try to merge
you know,
at 60 kilometers,
Yeah.
the person coming up in that lane behind them's got to slam on the brakes.
Yeah.
And then you've got a chain reaction of slamming on brakes. I have a thing called the constant speed driver,
Yeah.
which means it's a person that drives 60 kilometers an hour no matter where they are and what the speed limit is. So they could be in a 50, but they're driving 60. They could be in a 60, drive 60,
Yeah.
but they could be in an 80 and they're driving
They're driving
60.
60.
Yeah.
They
They're
got
the-
the permanent cruise control.
Exactly. They're the constant speed driver.
Yeah.
It's like they don't care about what's, you know, like you're always told defensive driving is drive to the traffic, right?
Yeah.
How other people are driving. Well, these people don't care.
No.
They'll drive 60 wherever. 40, they go 60. So they're a menace there. 80, they'll go 60. So they're a menace there. Right?
Yeah,
So-
it's a tough one to manage for sure.
Yeah,
and
and
I
so-
mean, the thought of sending your kids into that wild is interesting.
Yeah, like
It's not like back in the day, you know, when obviously there's more and more traffic. The roads are busier. Having said that, you know, the roads are also nicer and wider. I mean, I remember, you know, we've talked about you guys going up to Sudbury in Northern Ontario, and I remember as a kid when we used to drive up to Sudbury or Cochrane, you know, further north. I mean, the roads were the width of a car. You know,
Yeah.
there was no shoulder. Like there's nowhere to go. Like if when you're driving up north, you can actually still see the roads
Yeah.
off to the side, you know,
Yeah.
in the woods where they they bypassed and made wider
Yeah.
highways and stuff. And you look at the size of those roads and the size of the cars that we had back
Oh
then.
God, yeah.
You know, you got like a big
Huge.
Le Mans or something like that. I mean, it's
Lincoln Continental Town
Oh,
Car, which I
it's-
had.
they were awesome, you know, the full bench seat in the front and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But you literally took a whole lane.
Yeah, that Lincoln. I had a 78 and a 77, and they were just as long as a pickup truck.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
And wider.
and wider. Exactly, exactly. Yeah, I mean, well, another pet peeve of mine on the roads is, if you're speaking of roads, like, I don't know what it is here in Ontario, but there's a couple things. One, you can't see the lines at night. I remember driving out to Smiths Falls one night. It's raining, pouring rain. I don't know. I can't see the lines on the road
No.
because they're faded. Like there's almost no lines in the road. I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm just gonna try to drive down the middle because I can't see where the roads are because it's pitch black. It's
Yeah.
raining,
Was
which
this
makes it harder.
was this on the highway?
No, I was going by the back roads.
Oh, well,
well,
that's-
by Richmond Road.
That's your problem.
I went by Richmond Road.
Yeah.
But Richmond Road, actually, talking about wide, it's wide enough. It just doesn't have any lines painted on it.
Yeah, I guess. Well, I mean, if you talk about the upkeep and stuff like that, I mean, I think the city of Ottawa had like, or maybe it was a radio station, Shea 106, actually had like a contest for a while early in the spring where they would go and sort of, you know, if people nominated their biggest potholes, they would actually go and fill them. But yeah, I mean, road maintenance and support and all that stuff, it's not fantastic. But having said that, I think we're still better off in Ottawa for that kind of stuff than a lot of other cities.
Well, I noticed when I was in the States, I mean, this is going back a number of years, a few years now, but they seem to have their roads have better painted lines. They have reflectors a lot of the time as
Yeah.
well on corners and stuff,
Yeah.
you know, to let you know, hey, there's a corner here. Whereas you're going along, you see a sign and all of a sudden you're on the corner. You can't see the lines. You're like, well, I guess
No.
I'm going, see what happens, you know.
Yeah.
And then you have another car coming towards you and you got to kind of move over. You just can't, there's no line for the shoulder. So you're like, well, again, I'm just going to keep driving here and see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't know. I think that the society, and I mean, maybe it was the same thing when we were younger, but I think society just seems to think that if, you know, you're sitting in a vehicle, you're in this protective box that, you know, it's
Yeah.
like it's, you know, I'll be fine if there's an accident or whatever the case may be. Not that people are not safe, but you get this sort of this false sense of security almost being in a vehicle and rocking out to your favorite tunes and stuff.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you know, I mean, you ride a motorcycle, and
Yeah.
I've ridden a motorcycle, and that feeling is gone when you're on a bike, right? I mean, you're alive. You're
Yeah.
there's a considerably more tangible. There's a good chance that I'm not going to make it out of this ride, you know, based on how people drive.
Oh,
So
yeah,
it's a
yeah,
bit
yeah.
more. You're more aware of sort of, you know, what's the reality of the consequences of something
Oh,
happening,
yeah, for
right?
sure. I think
Yeah.
one of the things that they teach you in the motorcycle riding school is I mean, it's awareness, right?
Yeah.
and you know, you've got the 8 and 12 second rule or whatever it is, and,
Yeah.
you know, looking down the road 8 and 12 seconds down the road, you know, in advance, so that you know you're seeing things that might be happening down there, so you can take precaution now
Yeah,
as you
absolutely.
get there. And you're right, I think in a car, you know, people don't have the same kind of awareness, like you
No.
said before, of you know, maybe they should be looking a couple seconds down the road,
Absolutely.
you know.
But then again, you also have the folks on motorcycles that are sort of weaving
There's-
in and out of traffic at 120
yes,
kilometers an hour in a
yes.
60 zone, right? So
Yeah, there are guys, yeah, you know, they won't insure a super sport bike.
won't
Not for me, and I'm 55 years old.
really.
So a super sport, like a couple of years ago, I was looking for a 600cc bike.
Yeah.
Those are considered super sport, like a Honda CBR or a Honda, 600 CBR, something like that,
Yeah.
right? And there was only one company that would insure it. Would be, I think it was like, I don't know if I can say this, so I'll say it, but TD Insurance, and they wanted like
Well, you're the one that beeps everything out.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
You know.
$1,200.
Can we say?
Oh God, 20 minutes, 20, 30. Okay.
Moving on.
Anyway, so yeah, they wanted like $1,200 a year for insurance for a 600cc. My insurance company would not insure it. They consider a super sport,
Yeah.
a 600cc bike, a super sport, and they won't insure. You could get a 650 or a 750, no problem insuring that, because they don't consider those super sports. I think what happens is most younger guys,
That's what they go for.
they'll get on the 600s.
But I mean,
And
if
they're
you look at
considered
the
sports
if you
bikes,
look
sport
at the
bikes.
statistics, it's not great, right? Like for motorcycles in general, like it's usually not a question of if you're gonna have an accident. It's more of a question
When.
of when and how bad is it going to be.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Well, you know what? I took a updated riding course a couple of years ago as well, and the hardest part on it, like on motorcycles, it's, I don't know if people know this, but it's easy just to go straight.
Yeah.
Right, and as constant, like a constant speed.
Yeah.
You can go straight, you know, whatever. But the hardest part on the motorcycle is slow, tight maneuvers,
yes,
and that's what they teach you at the riding schools
Yep.
a lot. Are the slow, tight maneuvers.
I took the course as
Yeah,
well,
so-
and it was incredibly valuable.
Yeah, absolutely. But anyway, they have an updated riding course where you go for a few hours. You know, I think it was like $50, and then they go for an hour or two, and they take you through the little obstacles, and it's like, again,
Yeah, I would recommend that to anyone.
oh, for sure.
Because, like, I think, well, there's the young kids that decide to get like a super sport motorcycle
Yeah.
that are, you know, it's not, speaking of which, I think we just heard one go by. Or you get the person that's kind of retired, the kids are moved out, and it's like, oh, I'll get another motorcycle kind of thing. And,
Yeah.
and haven't ridden in 30, 40, 50 years. And they're like, it's just like riding a bike, you know, literally.
Well, then they go out and they buy this huge
yeah,
Harley, and so what happened?
1,200-pound bike.
Exactly.
And anyway.
So what
yeah.
happened was at this course, there were guys with those bikes there, and of course they're teaching you these slow maneuvers.
Oh, yeah.
There was like 2 or 3 guys that dropped their bikes,
Oh, for sure.
and then I think one got injured, like his leg a little bit,
Absolutely.
because it's almost impossible to do these slow maneuvers
Yeah.
on a bike that size.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, without putting your feet down, and that's the whole point of the motorcycle. Is like, you're not supposed to put your foot down.
No, take the motorcycle course, like learn how to do it properly.
Yeah.
Take it a couple times, even if you don't feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Like just get prepared and do it right. But yeah,
And don't take your big hog to do it, because you're gonna end
No.
up dropping it.
no, for sure. And I
Big
mean,
time.
you drop. I had a friend of mine
Try to lift that back up.
Oh, it's just unreal,
Yeah.
right? But he dropped his bike at a gas station.
Oh,
He got off the bike,
forgot to stand.
thought he put the stand on, and then kind of walked away, and then like bang on the ground,
Oh,
broke the mirror, scratched his gas tank. I think it was like, you know, $2,000 in
Ooh.
damage for like just because I mean that's like the bike is right there, right?
Yeah,
There's really
yeah.
no protection,
yeah,
so.
yeah.
Anyway, it was a really good lesson for him, but it's like it's so common.
I actually dropped my buddy's bike.
Oh, that's not
Twice.
very nice. You didn't even drop your own?
No, I've never dropped mine, but I dropped his
Did you pay for
twice. There was nothing
it?
broken on it.
No
So what
damage,
happened?
that's good.
So we went out riding together. I have a smaller bike. I have a little crotch rocket.
Okay.
But he has he doesn't even have it anymore. He rides mostly dirt bikes now. But he had this BMW, what do you call them? The on and off road ones. The,
A hybrid kind of bike?
yeah, so
or
it's like, what's the name of it?
all-terrain?
Not all terrain. What do they call them? It's a touring bike, but it can go off road as well. So the thing is huge.
Should we do a fact check?
Oh, fact check. Fact check.
Fact check. Fact check.
The thing is huge, and it's a 800cc bike, and he had the because he used to go like riding with his brother and his dad, and they'd go across Ontario and stuff like that, and he had these big side bags on it too, but they're metal, whatever.
Yep.
And anyway, so we're going out riding together. He's like, why don't we switch? I'm like, okay, cool. So I get on his bike. I go around the parking lot a couple times, right? I go to stop, just to get a feel for it, right?
Yeah.
So I go around, we're in the parking lot, and I go around it a couple times, and I stop, and I go to put my foot down. Now, the problem is this bike is so high, and I'm not, like my buddy's a little taller than me. I put my foot down, and when you put your foot down, you tend to lean to that one side, right?
Yeah.
And because I was not the right height for the bike,
The whole weight comes down
the
on
whole
you.
weight came down, and I dropped it. Now he's got the drop guards on it because that's the type of bike it is.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, oh man, sorry about that. I go, okay, let's.
Sorry about that.
But there was no damage to the bike, right?
We'd like to apologize
Yeah.
for dropping your motorcycle.
So I go, well, let me give it another try. So we pick the bike back up. I get back on, no problem, like going and riding, and then I stop again. Same thing. I go to put
Oh
my foot down,
no.
and it drops. I'm like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't. I should, because I don't want to get to a red light and drop the bike again, right?
So would that be a sport touring maybe?
Sport touring. No,
Yeah.
it's not really a sport touring. It's a touring, but it's not. Oh, what do they call them?
Well, there's cruisers, there's touring, there's sport bike, sport touring, dual sport.
Dual sport.
Is that what it is?
That's what it is.
Yeah, or an enduro maybe. No,
Yeah.
and actually enduro I think is more trails, but
Yeah, no, it's
Anyway.
a dual sport.
what do
Dual
I know?
sport.
Dual sport. There you
So
go.
the previous bike to that, he had a Kawasaki 650 dual sport,
Okay.
and I rode that no
Yeah.
problems.
Those are really tall though,
But they are tall.
like crazy tall.
That's what I mean. Like
Yeah.
I think on his, I'm pretty sure on his BMW that he had, he could adjust the height. So if I wanted to
Yeah,
buy a bike like
Just
that,
adjust the suspension.
yeah, I could adjust it for my height, so that way I wouldn't drop it when I.
Well, because by the time, we were saying, I think, by the time your foot hits the ground, the bike is at an angle that
It is.
that you can no longer carry because of the weight. The weight's going like
Yeah.
you're up creek without a paddle.
That's right. Like Duff at this moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
Yeah. So I
that's
dropped
funny.
it. I dropped it twice,
Oh, that's
but there
not-
was no damage because
that's
he had put all that stuff
Yeah.
on it because so I wouldn't like in
yeah,
case
yeah,
he
the
ever dropped it.
the
yeah.
extra pads and stuff.
Yeah.
And whatever.
So there wasn't any damage, but I was kind of embarrassed. I was like, riding a 800cc dual sport is not really up my.
No.
I mean, when you get a big bike like a Hog or something like that, they're usually lower to the ground,
Yes.
and I think that's because they
the
weigh
center of gravity is a little
Exactly,
easier.
yeah.
They're lower. But yeah,
I'm not very tall as it is, so
no, you're just tall enough, right?
I'm just tall enough.
There you go.
Yeah.
So while we're talking about driving, just to loop back to the episode from last week, but we as we were closing off, I think we talked about you driving your daughter to visit a university in the U.S.
Yes.
around the absolutely breathtaking area of Saranac Lake and Lake Placid.
Yes.
And then to get there,
Yes.
one needs a passport, of course. But in crossing over to the U.S., which is usually through a large body of water, If we're talking about Ogdensburg or Lansdowne, the Thousand Islands Crossing, there are gigantic bridges, and we have found out
Yes, sir.
that you have a fear of crossing over bridges. I guess it's a fear of heights, right? So
Yeah.
So what the heck's going on around that, man?
Yeah. I don't know. I was never like that until the last 10, 15 years.
It just like happened one
yeah,
day.
I don't know. I was just crossing a bridge and
The fear of God came into
fear
you.
of God came into me. And ever since then, it was like, I can't cross these bridges.
So is it like, what kind of bridge are we talking about? Like, are we
Well,
talking about
anything-
like the PEI Confederation Bridge,
Yeah, I
or
couldn't do that either.
couldn't do that one?
No.
No,
I can't do the crossing over the, yeah, I can't do those.
no.
I remember, a couple times, so I remember when I was in Clearwater, Florida, covering the Blue Jays in Dunedin there, and Clearwater's just right next door to it. And I had a bit of an afternoon off, so my colleague and I would decide to go to Clearwater Beach.
It's all bridges.
Well, to get over to the Clearwater Beach, you
Yeah.
need to take the causeway, which is like
Oh,
a
okay.
bridge.
Yeah, that's a big
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. And I stopped. I couldn't do it.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So
I
you
didn't stop on the causeway. I stopped
before?
the causeway.
Yeah, and let
Yeah,
somebody
so-
else drive.
Yeah, my colleague drive was embarrassing. I've done that a couple of
Oh.
times.
That's funny.
Yeah,
So,
I just say, listen, I've got a phobia of bridges. And
So
they've
just
been
like
very pretty.
it's like a panic attack almost,
it's like a
kind
panic
of thing.
attack.
Yeah.
I had to do it by myself once. I didn't realize that going over to Prince Edward County,
Yeah.
that it's an island.
Oh.
And I'm driving along thinking everything's good, and then all of a sudden in front of me there's a bridge.
So you just pull over at that point, or do
I
you...
just I pulled over. I
just
gathered my
white knuckle
wits,
it?
white knuckled it
Okay.
across, basically.
Wow. I mean, they're everywhere, but does it have to be a high bridge, or now at this point you're
No,
just
it's
kind of
like
like
any bridge
you
like
just
that.
you just start feeling it, kind of thing right away.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know what happened. Maybe I should go get help.
Or maybe we should just take the podcast on the road.
Oh,
actually
God.
Do the podcast from a bridge.
Oh, Jesus. Face your fears.
Face your fears and embrace them.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what we need to do. Have guests here that can allow us to
Face our fears.
Face our fears.
Okay, now you guys take your podcast on the road and do it from the.
Yeah. Do it
Bridge
from
down
a
New
bridge.
York.
Do
Yeah.
it from parachuting.
Even talking about it
You're-
is
you're-
giving me a
you're-
bit of a panic attack.
We'll have to take a moment first
Exactly.
for DDT to
Anybody got a
to compose
Adderall or-
himself. Everyone, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, that's hilarious.
So yeah, we booked our trip. So my daughter is going to school there near Lake Placid,
yeah.
and she has an orientation session that we have to be there for, and it was either July 6th or the 29th. So I booked the 29th. That's the long weekend here.
Yep.
So we're gonna make a weekend of it, but the whole family's gonna go down. So my wife will probably have to drive across the bridge.
Yeah.
And I don't know how she feels about that either,
Yeah.
but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine.
But we're gonna make a weekend of it anyway. And
That's awesome.
yeah, go down and visit Lake Placid and oh my God, they jacked the prices of the hotels up.
Did they?
Like if you were to go now,
Yeah.
the hotel I booked was about on the discount that we got through the school because they
Yeah.
partnered with the school, with the university. I think it was about 135 US
Okay.
for that weekend. Even though we still got the discount, it was 375 US
Oh my gosh.
per night.
Oh my gosh. Well,
So 3 nights are going to cost me 1600.
they know when the Canadians want to come down, right?
Well,
Which-
anybody wants to go and
Yeah.
visit. That the summertime is big there. Like, don't go. July 6th would have been even more expensive because of the July 4th
Yeah.
Independence
Yeah,
Day.
but
thing.
even the but I mean it's we typically, I mean, we used to go every year camping in the Lake Placid area, and we'd stay at the KOA campground there, which is awesome. But I mean, this year we were looking at trying to do that again, and it's fully booked. But even
Yeah.
for camping, you're just a basic site with electricity and water. You're looking at almost $100 US a night
Wow.
in most places, So I mean, it's, you know, in comparison, the prices of everything have gone up.
Oh yeah, it's huge. Well, I looked at every single avenue of what I can do there. So I looked at cabins, I looked at Vrbo or Airbnb,
Yeah.
and the prices are all similar. It didn't matter. You know, and the thing is, like, where Paul Smith's college is, it's about half an hour from Lake Placid.
Yep.
It's about 15-20 minutes from Saranac. And so you're not going to be booking inside Paul Smith, so you're going to be around, and some places were further away.
Yeah.
A couple good deals, but they were like 40-45 minutes away.
That's a long drive. Yeah.
I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. And you know, so it's kind of like, well, if all the prices are the same, looked at, like I said, a couple of cabins, but you're paying the same amount, and they weren't really on the lake. Like, if you wanted to be on one of the lakes there,
Yeah.
you're paying double, you know, you're paying
Oh, it's absolutely
more.
nuts.
So
yeah.
the hotel I booked, which seems to be very, very nice, is right on the lake.
Yeah.
I forget which lake it is. Might even be Saranac Lake. But yeah, it's really nice. And, you know, for the price from the discount we got from the college, then it makes it more like it's within the range. So it's actually less expensive than even like some of the cabins are. And the cabins are not, you know, they weren't as nice as the hotel room. So I thought, you know what, let's just do this. I'll book it now. And
Well, if you were going to Essex in Ontario,
yeah,
I was reading up the other day that there's actually an Airbnb rental there. Speaking of being on the water and stuff, that you can actually rent a it's like wine country in that area.
Yeah.
But the Airbnb is essentially a gigantic floating wine barrel.
Oh wow.
The Airbnb,
Interesting.
so they have a whole bunch of these on Fox Creek near Lake Erie, and sort of with a view of the vineyards and stuff like that there.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can actually rent out a giant red cedar barrel in the middle of wine country and be on the water in a barrel.
How much is it, and how many people does it sleep? Like two
Well,
people?
basically, I'm seeing there's essentially a bed and a bunch of Muskoka chairs and stuff on the outside. So there's not a lot there. I didn't look into the pricing, but I would assume it's probably
Probably
even more than what you were
yeah.
you were talking about over there.
So they had one really interesting Airbnb one, which was a tree house basically
In
in
Vermont?
No, in like near Lake Saranac,
Okay.
and it was a tree house, but it only slept two.
Okay.
So I wouldn't have done for us, but I
You
would
don't want to
have
let the kids sleep in the car?
been... No, it would have been really interesting.
Yeah. I like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know, just like the funky, memorable kind of
Yeah,
hotels.
I would have
and
rented if
stays
it
and-
had slept four. I would have rented that one.
Yeah, that would have been awesome.
Because it was in the same price range, so it wasn't outside the realm. So
Like for that kind of thing, paying, you know, and I mean it's an exception, you know, it's a special occasion kind of thing. Like paying $300 or $400 a night is not worrisome. But when we're talking about the cost of travel right now for like a basic campsite, like $100 US or a standard hotel probably for what you're looking at for that trip at $375 a night is just it's nuts, right?
yeah, and then we got to go back there 2 weeks later
Oh gosh.
because that's when she moves, the 19th of
Hopefully
August.
Hopefully that's cheaper.
Well, it'll only be one night, I think.
That's not bad.
Or maybe So I gotta book that now too. Shit.
Yeah. So then the other thing that we haven't talked about in here is the price of gas.
Oh my god. You seem to be on a transportation and
I went to, well, I mean, I think right now all over Canada we're breaking records. I was reading in the paper that this week, I think yesterday, that in BC they hit an all-time high of $2.16.9 for gas per liter.
Oh my god.
And Ottawa yesterday, as a matter of fact, while driving with my daughter, we were driving through Richmond, and we came to a stop, and at the corner there was a gas station. I think it was 195.6
Yeah, I saw that too.
in Richmond, and I'm just like, holy smokes! Like I used to be able to fill up my car with, $60 and have some money left, and
Yeah.
now, I go to the pump and I punch in $100, and it's like, yep, nope, not gonna fill it up.
No.
It's like above. I just can't believe it.
Well,
So,
I filled up the other day. It was I sent you guys a picture. It was 101. I had
Yeah.
spent $101.
Yeah.
Or $102, something like
which
that.
is unheard of. Like I've
Yeah.
never seen those prices.
But
right?
fortunately, we don't. My wife has been walking to work, so she usually take the car. But it's only a kilometer away where she
Yeah.
works anyway, so or a kilometer and a half. So even if she drove there, it wouldn't like I take the bus. But even for my motorcycle, like I'm hoping to get that back to work. Either that or I'm going to ride my bicycle to work. I want to
Yeah.
try to get in shape again. But my motorcycle, I put Supreme in it. It's a 10-liter tank. It used to cost me it used to be when it was around $1 a liter, obviously $10.
Yeah.
And then it went up to $1.50. It cost me $15. Now premium is going to be well over $2.
Yeah.
So it's going to cost me over $20. Fill up. It'll last me going to work is 40 kilometers there and back, times 5. My tank, I get 5 liters per 100 kilometers.
That's not bad.
Yeah. So, but
But
it's 200 kilometers on a full tank. So
way better than a car.
yeah,
for sure.
but it would still
right?
cost me over $20 a week to fill up.
Yeah.
my bike. Yeah. So yeah, it's crazy amount.
Yeah, that's
Crazy amount.
that's yeah.
And so why do you think, like, people are saying, oh, the greedy gas companies and stuff like that, but I went on Ontario. You can check what makes up the price of gas.
Yeah.
Taxes are huge. And there's a tax on a tax and a tax. The margins for the oil companies don't seem to be a hell of a lot. I think it's like 7 or 9% margin on gas for them on a liter.
I don't know. Yeah, I never
Yeah.
looked that up.
You can look it up. Like there's like 54 cents at least per liter of gas is in taxes
Yeah.
and carbon tax, including the carbon tax now, which has gone up again.
I guess. Yeah. I don't know. I mean.
But it's supply and demand,
Yeah.
right? Supply and demand.
There's
Like we're having a
less-
problem with supply right now.
there's less people commuting. So, I mean, I don't know if I don't think, I wouldn't say that the demand in gas has gone down, but, I mean, I'll just speak for Ottawa, but with way more people sort of having the opportunity of working from home. I think I was reading an article yesterday that was talking to the fact that in Ottawa, 50% or more of people are working from home now.
No doubt. Because we're mostly a government town and the
so,
government hasn't gone back.
My wife and I would both do our daily commute in separate vehicles to downtown Ottawa. And now all of a sudden, we're both primarily working from home. So you get, obviously we're not spending as much in gas, which is awesome right now because of the prices, but I wonder if that has an impact.
Well,
But
again,
I don't
supply and
know.
demand, right?
Yeah.
The demand is lower.
Yeah.
They're still supplying, they still have production costs, so you've got to increase the price
Exactly. Yeah.
to meet that. So it's all about supply and demand. Like, Biden killed the pipelines as well. Trudeau bought it and then didn't do anything with it as well. Canada, I think we're like the 3rd largest producer of oil and natural gas in the world, so something around there anyway. And why we're paying so much we don't refine it here.
No.
That's part of the problem.
That's
We send it off to be refined in the US and then comes back to us, but for the most part. So, again, like geopolitical stuff happening now. I'm not saying it's Putin's fault
no.
for the gas prices. Like they don't
I mean,
really supply us.
There
any,
are so many factors, right?
Yeah.
Like people like to point to one thing, but
Yeah, they say greedy corporations where
it's politics or it's
Yeah.
corporations or it's this or it's that, but there's just
Many
there's so
factors.
many factors.
Yeah.
But so that's the prices of gas are depressing, but let's talk about something uplifting. Well, you know what? We're finding segues where there were no segues today. As a matter of fact, earlier on when we were talking about you reporting sports way back when you were talking about the Jays.
Yes.
And you know what? I'm not a big fan of necessarily reading the news, because I find a lot of the news is there's just really never a lot of positive stuff.
Yeah.
But I caught a video of the Jays and Yankees game in Toronto.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
Where
I saw that. I think I know where you're going.
Yeah, is it Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah.
I think.
No, he's a quarterback.
Yeah.
Aaron Judge.
Aaron Judge, there you go. Hits a home run.
At Jay Stadium.
Yeah, at Jay Stadium. A Blue Jays fan catches the ball.
Yeah.
And then puts his hands up in the air to celebrate, and then kind of holds off a little bit, turns around and gives the ball to a little boy who's decked out in Yankees gear at the Jays game with a Judge jersey, and just the little boy tears up right away.
Oh yeah.
Gives this random man a massive hug.
Yeah.
And then kind of just it just gives you kind of goosebumps when you think about it. But it's just that that reminds you there's good in the world. There's as much as there's negative news. So anyway, all that to say, I thought that was like a fantastic little story in itself.
Yeah.
But as it turns out, I guess that day, I believe that the little boy ended up sort of getting to meet Judge.
He did, yeah. I saw the video of that too.
That day. Yeah. And then the next day, they were all at the game again. I guess the guy that bought the Jays tickets, he's, regular at these games. And then this little boy went back as well, and they got kind of reunited, and then they got invited onto the field. And then that guy that gave the boy the ball actually got a signed Blue Jays jersey.
Nice.
The next day. Anyway, it's just a heartwarming story, right? The guy just did this out of the goodness of his heart, and that little boy is now going to kind of remember this for the rest of his life. But deservedly so. The Blue Jays recognized his positive gesture, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we've all seen the focus on somebody at a Blue Jays game, I think, throwing some stuff on the field and whatever, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, not enough of this stuff gets reported.
It's a nice positive story.
Yeah.
And maybe something that we should end the podcast on.
Well, I don't know.
Because we can't go.
I think
we can't do any better than that.
You don't think so?
No.
There's always stuff to do better than that.
No, that's nice positive.
Is that a positive?
Yeah.
You think we're done?
Well, we're at, if I put my goggles back on here, we're at 47 minutes.
47 minutes?
Yeah.
And we had nothing today.
I know.
Do you have any content?
No. I got nothing, as usual. That's my MO.
Oh, come on, man.
My MO is I don't have anything.
That's hilarious.
So I think it's a nice way to end off on a nice positive
note. I think that's a positive note for sure. But having said that, I think we should leave our listeners with at least one pick, maybe.
All right, you got a pick then?
Well, it's a 2004 movie.
Not quite Lanark.
It's kind of Lanark / retro / new pick. It's trending on Netflix right now.
Oh, the Netflix.
And movie with Seth Green, Matthew Lillard, and Dax Shepard.
Dax.
With guest host by or guest appearance by Burt Reynolds.
Guest starring Burt.
No less.
Oh.
But so in honor of Mr. Duff, who's away today, the movie's called Without a Paddle. And the tagline is, following the death of their friend, three buddies realize their lifelong dream of chasing after the loot of the infamous skyjacker D.B. Cooper.
Oh, okay.
So as our friend is off canoeing, hopefully with paddles, we leave our listeners with on the Netflix machine, the 2004 movie Without a Paddle.
Starring Burt Reynolds.
Well, no.
Co-starring.
Burt Reynolds kind of makes an appearance.
Cameo.
But more of a cameo.
Okay.
That seems to be the big thing these days. But yeah, there you go. So
Good-
positive
well, that's a good
story.
way. That's a good
Little
way to-
boy's gonna remember that forever. Without a paddle for our friend Duff.
Lanark/new pick.
Lanark/new pick. So I think that's
That's a great way to end it.
car.
Coffee.
There you go. Oh, we ended up all over the map on that
Yeah,
one,
no,
but
actually, it was pretty focused. We talked mostly about cars. And
cars and driving.
Driving
We
and
actually
gas.
had a few tangible, naturally happening segues.
stories.
Yeah, I think that worked out well.
Yeah, that's good. We don't need Duff.
No, who needs Duff?
Who needs Duff?
He's a good guy, but
Good
yeah,
guy, but-
I don't know. Keep canoeing.
Yeah.